You came to show me that no person keeps his word to Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes care of him. No neighbor saw anything.
Welcome to Prism of Torah with Rebbe Saf Aaron Prisman, engaging Divrei Torah, packed with stories and practical insights. Find us wherever you get your podcasts or at prismoftorah.org.
Shalom uvracha. In this week's Parshas Behar and Bechukosai, there's a fascinating diuk, something that's hidden in a certain pasuk, and I want to share it with you. We know that in Parshas Behar, the Torah commands us of the very important mitzvah of Shmita, which means that every seventh year the land must be completely arrested, no planting, no harvesting, etc. The next pasuk then says, "V'chi tomru, ma nochal b'shana hashvi'it, hen lo nizra ve'lo ne'esof et vo'aseinu," which literally translates to, "And if you shall say, oh no, what will we eat in the seventh year?" So HaKadosh Baruch Hu answers, don't worry, v'tzivisi es birkasi lachem b'shana hashishis, etc., etc. Hashem responds with, I will command my blessing the sixth year, and it should yield produce enough for 3 years, meaning a triple crop. That's a visible, unbelievable, dramatic miracle. Wow, 1 year will produce 3 times more than the previous years. But if you think carefully, the question begs itself, wait a second. We're only going to get this miracle if we actually say to ourselves in disbelief, oh no, what's going to happen? What are we going to do? If we don't have any crops in the seventh year, what's going to happen? Only then, because we were worried and we said that in our hearts, oh no, what are we going to do? Only then Hashem will pose this amazing miracle and command His blessing. What about the person that's on a higher level of a believer that's on a higher level, that he blindly trusts Hashem and is not even worried? Does it make any sense that he should not get this blessing? This question was something that bothered Reb Zusha, who's being quoted by the Chidushei Arim in his Sefer Likutei Arim. He's also quoted by his brother of Elimelech ben Lezhinsk, and also by the Sfas Emes. And he answers something that I think is very important for all of us to understand. He says, when a person believes in Hashem, then there's all these tzinorot shefa. We are connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and with all kinds of channels of abundance from Hashem. However, when the person has a bit of a lack of belief, that actually blocks these tzinorot shefa. These channels get cut off. And because a person had this type of thought, hence it stopped the regular standard way of abundance, shefa and bracha and blessing coming down. And hence HaKadosh Baruch Hu had no choice but to say, even though you were in disbelief a bit and you were worried, and hence you cut off the regular channels of blessing, I will find a different way of ensuring that you'll be okay, and I will command my blessing, v'tzivisi es birkasi, meaning it's b'di'evid, a person that doesn't believe as much, he cuts off his own channels of blessing from Hashem. And hence, HaKadosh Baruch Hu needed to compensate that with a new blessing, that He commands His blessing to give us 3 times the crops. Ad Kan, the amazing Reb Zusha, and by the way, when the Likutei Arim, the Chidushei Arim quotes him, he even says, from here you see the fact that he saw such a deep idea and was medayek it from the pasuk. It shows he was a huge Talmid Chacham, not just an amazing Baal Midos that we all know him by. But I want to take it a step further. If you look at the Malbim actually complements what Reb Zusha is saying. Reb Zusha is saying and teaching us a very, very important concept, that having disbelief is something that shoots down and blocks the channels of blessing from Hashem. Comes the Malbim and explains to us the actual content of the different types of blessing. He shows us that there are actually 2 different types of blessings from Hashem. And he even proves it from the Psukim in an unbelievable way. He says, indeed, the person that had a bit of disbelief, HaKadosh Baruch Hu triggered a new type of bracha. That bracha, at first glance, seems to be unbelievable. Wow, what a miracle. The land is going to produce 3 times as much crops as before. At first glance, that seems unbelievable. However, he explains, that is the secondary bracha. It's not as good as the other one. This one means you have a lot of produce. Your potential enemies, your neighbors living around you will see, wow, look how much they have. You have to find a way of storing it. You have to work really hard in order to be able to take all your tractors or whatever they had in those days to take it to storage. There's a lot more work. As opposed to another type of bracha, that this, the Malbim explains, is the default bracha. Kol od you do not cut off the blessing, the original blessing is way better. Why? He suggests, and even proves it from the Psukim, that the original bracha is a bracha like the Pasuk says, V'yishavtem lavetach, v'achaltem lasoiva, v'natna haaretz pirya, which all comes from the first original type of bracha, which is, the land's just going to give the regular fruits, like is hinted in the Pasuk. Before the Pasuk says, and if you're going to say, oh no, what am I going to do? It says, and if you do the Shmita, the land will give its fruits, implying the regular fruits, not more than usual. But, here's the punchline. Ve'achaltem lasova. You're going to be satiated, just like every year, even though obviously you're going to have less fruits this year, but a little bit will satiate you. That's an unbelievable blessing. That's bigger than the second blessing, because this blessing is already above teva, it's above nature. That's not normal. It's normal that one year produces more crops than another. That's b'derech hateva. That could be within nature's guidelines. But to get a little bit of fruit, a little bit of food, and be satiated from that, wow, that's a different level of blessing. That is me'al hateva. And that will yield that ripple result, ripple effect. V'yishavtem lavetach, you'll be able to continue living securely in your land because the neighbors won't see, whoa, what's going on over there? Look how many crops they have. And then it's going to start potentially them being jealous and starting fighting. And that is what the Pasuk says. It's going to take its regular course of fruits. Maybe you'll get even less, obviously, because you're not working the land. But still, v'achaltem lasova, you're going to be satiated from that little amount. V'yishavtem lavetach alea, and you'll be able to sit in peace in your land because no one's going to be jealous. Not to mention, you're going to have to work a lot less because you don't have so much fruits to take care of them to put in storage. As opposed to the second bracha, when the person cuts off the shefa of the original bracha and is not worthy to get the original bracha because it's already hanaga nisit, it's above teva, then yes, you're going to have more crops, but it's a natural miracle within natural boundaries. You're going to have to work way more. The neighbors are going to notice, and hence you're not going to have the promise of peace alongside the abundance, more anxiety, etc., etc. You see the same idea in Kriyas Yamsuf. We said several months ago that there were two types of groups in Klal Yisrael. One that went bayam bayabasha. They blindly trusted HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They went into the water, and then it became land. But they went into the water because they blindly trusted HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and they got rewarded more, as opposed to the second group that went bayabasha bayam. If you look carefully, there's two psukim. One, it says first they went in the land and the water, and the other one in the water and the land. The ones that went in the land and the water, bayabasha bayam, they waited to see that there is going to be land and area to walk. They had less belief. The bigger reward always goes to the ones that have 100% belief in the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, no doubts. They will be rewarded more in this world and the world to come. This is what Abzusha is telling us. He's telling us actually the mechanism of how it happens. Because when you worry and you have a bit of a lack of faith in the HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it cuts the tzinorot Hashem, the channels of abundance from Hashem. And the Malbim in this case explains to us the content and how he proves it from Psukim that the first bracha is way better for the people that 100% believes in Hashem. I would like to end off with a story adapted from a shir given by Rav Shlomo Landau. This really brings the point out. Rabbi Yaakov Baruch Herzog ran a small bakery on the Lower East Side of Manhattan. And he wasn't doing that well. The only thing that was keeping it alive and made sense for him to continue running the business was a large nursing home account. Without it, there was no point to have the bakery running. But then the nursing home hired a new administrator who was not being so nice to him at all. He called one Sunday with an ultimatum. He said to him, I need 2 cases of diet lemon cookies and diet vanilla cookies on your doorstep by tomorrow morning. If not, from my perspective, this is a breach of contract. Rabbi Yaakov Baruch explained the manufacturer was closed on Sundays. It was impossible. The administrator didn't care. That evening, Rabbi Yaakov walked into shul for Mincha and Ma'ariv, and standing right there was the owner of the very company that manufactured these types of cookies, the one person in the world he needed. But earlier that day, he had accepted upon himself a Kabbalah. I am not speaking during davening. The battle inside him was fierce. His Yetzer Hara screamed, "What are you doing? This is your Parnasa. Go over to him." On the other hand, his Yetzer Hara Tov answered quietly, "Didn't you just accept not speaking during davening?" The Yetzer Hara Tov won. After Aleinu, he turned to the manufacturer, but he was gone. He vanished into the air. He couldn't believe it. He ran outside, but he couldn't see him. He went home with no solution, but something inside him was at peace. He kept his Kabbalah. The next morning at 7:20 a.m., a knock was at his door. A Hasidic truck driver from Monroe asked, "Please, can I use your washroom?" "Of course." Then Rabbi Yaakov, he asked almost as an afterthought, "By the way, do you by any chance have diet cookies on your truck?" He said, "It's basically empty, but let me check." 2 minutes later, "Come outside, check this out." The massive truck was completely bare except for 2 cases sitting alone in the corner. 1 case of diet lemon cookies, 1 case of diet vanilla cookies. The driver explained he had hit a catastrophic traffic that morning, and hence, after an hour and a half, desperately, he needed a washroom. Rabbi Yaakov Baruch stood there quietly. He couldn't believe it, and he told him, "You didn't come to use my washroom. You came to show me that no person keeps his word to Hashem. HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes care of him." No neighbor saw anything, nothing, no triple crop. Just a truck driver, a bathroom, and 2 cases of exactly the right cookies. That is, perhaps, a miracle above nature. When we have blind faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes care of us and ensures the channels of abundance and shefa and bracha will continue to come. Have a good Shabbos.
This concludes another episode of the Prism of Torah. Thank you for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed it and learned something valuable. If you did, please subscribe to the podcast and give a 5-star rating. You can also find this podcast wherever you get your podcasts or our own website, prismoftorah.com, where we have a full archive of all our past episodes. We would like to thank Yona Vefa for the recording equipment and Eli Podcast Productions for handling all our post-podcast productions. Join us next week for another enlightening conversation on the Prism of Torah.